Welcome back to The Heat. We're discussing the deepening discontent in South Africa over access to higher education, widespread poverty and inequality. Joining us now from Johannesburg is Khaye Nkwanyana. He's a spokesperson for the Ministry of Higher Education and Training in South Africa. Also with us, staying with us, is Ebrahim Rasool. He served as the South African ambassador to the United States. And thanks again for being with us. Khaye, let me start with you. You've had these student protests in South Africa over a possible increase in fees. Let's get the government view. You are a spokesperson for the ministry. I mean, first we have the proposed increases, then we have the protests, and then the government backs off. It seems that the government was out of touch with the level of anger that came about because of these proposed increases.
Well, I must say that it came so quickly. When it started in University of Witwatersrand, it came as a specific issue of that institution over the proposed percentage increase for next year, academic year. I remember because we had a higher education summit where all vice-chancellors were present. We had to release Professor Habib, who is the vice-chancellor of Wits, to immediately deal with the issue, of which he did exactly that, to engage with the students and to even convene the council meeting to seek to find ways of resolving the matter. So in no time, it had spread to different universities because it's at a time where universities start to communicate fee increases for the following year during this time of the year. So it went like a wildfire in a few days. And as government, we immediately intervened. The Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Zuma, immediately convened all the vice-chancellors in Cape Town to actually discuss the way forward, which was to push them away from their proposed double-digit increases, which were way above the 6% national inflation in the country.
Okay, so at this stage, the government has said there will be no more fee increases. It's frozen right now. Where is the money going to come from to pay for future costs for higher education?
Well, there's a task team led by the Director Generals, the Director General of Higher Education and Training, the Director General of the Treasury, the Director General in the Presidency, and their high-level technical team led by the Chief Financial Officers. We are working on those details currently, the details of financing the shortfall, which in total, that shortfall is around 2.33 billion. Already from the government side, we can communicate that that money will be found. It's all about the reprioritization now. It's all about looking in areas where there could be some surpluses within the organs of the state to shift so that we pay this particular one. But also we've committed universities, those that are having reserve, they are going to pay a particular percentage. And we are dealing with that now to say what is their collective contribution. But obviously government will pay 80% of that. And in no time, an announcement will be made by the president in terms of the details of that.
Okay, Ambassador, these protests over fee increases did not come to the government as a total surprise because it was an issue that the government looked at in 2012. A report was produced, and for some reason the findings of that report were never made public because students are not just asking for fees to be frozen. They are saying there needs to be a long-term freeze. There needs to be free education in South Africa.
Look, I think that it's clear that the government has not been surprised in the sense that we knew that there were going to be issues with regard to fees. I think in an already highly subsidized higher education system, unlike most other countries, especially here where we are in the United States, I think government pays an enormous amount into education already. Whether government is getting a return on its investment for the economy that I think is being shaped is the key question that I think we debated earlier. I think the difference, though, is that campaigns of last year, like the roads must fall and so forth, have created a greater coherence and connectivity amongst students across the universities of South Africa. So what was missing, there was always discontent, but what was missing was an organizing ability and a mobilizing ability, which I think has been found this time around. I think what government is going to have to respond to is increasing demands, and you are getting a middle ground student who are saying, let's be reasonable about this, and then you are getting people on the extremes who are saying, let's go for the whole hog and take whatever we can. I think the challenge to government is how to meet the legitimate demands of students, because our constitution, while saying many things about what South Africans deserve, the socio-economic rights, it has a very important caveat, which says within the carrying capacity of our country, meaning as resources allow, and it also speaks about progressive realization of those things, meaning that as resources become available, we will pass that on. And so I think our constitutionally, government has to find the wisdom in order to implement some of the resolves, and it needs the will to hold off to students who on the edge will say, let's take the whole hog, because we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think we need to bring relief to the genuinely poor students, and at the same time find income from students who can afford to pay. And it's those formulas that I think are going to have to be weighed up, especially, as Khaye says, by that committee that I think may lay the basis for long-term decisions.
Right. Khaye, are we going to see these protests again next year? I mean, as you pointed out, the government says that it will cap fee increases at 6%. You're going to negotiate between 0% and 6%. That is lower than the 10.5% that was being talked about this year, but it's still an increase, isn't it?
Well, as you know, that the president later made an announcement that on the basis of having noticed the persistence in the student strike protest, he acceded to the demand by the student for no fee increase, which he announced 2 weeks ago, which in a way has assisted to diffuse the whole protestation. So what we are sitting with now is a decision that says next year there will be no fee increases across the university sector, but government will find money to pay that shortfall that was going to be affected by the increased fees in 2016. And obviously there will be a contribution by those institutions that we call them your prestigious institutions that are sitting on top of reserve, but government will pay a larger part of that amount for next year.
Right. And Ambassador, I've just got a little time left, 30 seconds in fact. It's amazing how this has quickly become not just about student protests, but about an indictment on ANC rule in South Africa. We've got an opposition leader, Julius Malema, who's saying that this is about inequality in this country. And South Africa, we know, has inequality, I mean an income inequality that is around the biggest in the world.
I think that just like one swallow doesn't make a summer, I think that what you have here is protests around a particular issue, and whether it has the capacity to inflame society is another matter. I think South Africa's democracy is durable enough. I think people would look forward to next year's local government elections. They will make whatever point needs to be made at an election. I think once people get a sense in a country that the democratic avenues are closed, I think then it can escalate. I don't think that that danger exists in South Africa at this moment.
Ambassador Ebrahim Rasool, Khaye Nkwanyana in Johannesburg, thanks to both of you for joining us.